What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Enjoy Your Life, the podcast. I am your host, Farrah LaRae Wynn. I'm here today with a very special guest, Mr. Jermaine Tolbert.
Yeah.
Why would I mess that up? Okay. I'm here today with a very special guest, Mr. Jermaine Tolbert, also known as Nate Calloway. He is an author, he's a musician, he is a singer, and he wrote the book Genius of a Schizophrenic, and that is our topic for today. We're going to talk a little bit about his journey through music and the point that he got to in which he realized that there was something that he needed to handle, something more important than his music. And I mean, not to say music isn't important, because I definitely think it is. And it's a beautiful passion within a lot of us. But there was something that he realized he needed to take care of, kind of put his music to the side for a moment and focus in on. And he wrote a book about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Jermaine, what's up? How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling really good. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Jermaine and I, like most of my podcast guests, connected through Instagram. And I got to read a little bit about his book and hear his spiel, as it were, about the book and what he's trying to do with it. So we're going to talk about it. And where I want to start is kind of talking about your music and your journey. He worked with Pharrell Williams. And I want you to tell us a little bit about how you got to that point and your start in the music industry.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I started in the industry probably maybe post-college, maybe like a year and a half after college. I got involved in a gospel group. Some friends of mine from my high school who I used to sing with during high school, we actually had a little group situation during that time. We actually sang at like secular and church events. Mm-hmm. We were just really exploring with the gifts that we had. Never really, really delved into it on a serious level, but we were just having fun with one another. And then after I got out of college, after I left college anyway, I called them up and I asked them, like, what if we actually pursue this thing, full time for a career? And not only that, we should definitely do gospel. By this point, I had bloomed into an individual who had, came to know God, came to, want to live my life in the will of God, and gospel music was what I wanted to do. And luckily, those same individuals had bloomed into those type of men as well. Mm-hmm. So we became a group. Our overseer and mentor, Mitchell Jones from the legendary commission, the group commission, same group Fred Hammond came out of, Marvin Sapp came out of. He and his son, we all went to middle school together, myself, his son, his daughter. And so I always had that, connection or relationship with him. And once me and a group, we got together by the way, our name was Forever Grateful. We had probably worked maybe 2 years, just kind of doing really, really awesome things, singing at some of the major churches in Detroit, some of the mega churches. And we were gaining a lot of headway, a lot of steam. And so I called Mitchell Jones and I'm like, well, hey, we're doing this and we're actually making quite a name for ourselves. And we want to go to the next level. We know that obviously you have been with commission, the way. Hey, can you show us the way? And so he took a meeting with us. He loved the fact that what we were doing, and he loved that I actually, brought him in on it. And
nice.
He essentially became our overseer, and he set us up with a manager who happened to be his personal manager. And sales were set. We started doing even greater things, now taking engagements outside of Detroit and surrounding states or whatnot. And then so that probably lasted like a 4-year span, 3 to 4 year span, probably 4 years. We were really doing some great things, and then we just kind of disbanded. And this was like at the height of where we had come, in our achievement, in our journey. Just different paths, different people had different views and what they wanted to do and the directions they wanted to go. And so we actually just disbanded. And that was like a pivotal point for me at that moment. Nonetheless, I decided, okay, this is something I still want to do. Mm-hmm. And so I had a producer at the time, and we started working on my solo stuff, and it was still Christian, it was still gospel, it was a little edgy, but nonetheless still gospel. And I remember putting up a few songs on MySpace at the time. This is so long ago. That's obsolete now. And I remember putting up a few songs, and a guy contacted me from MySpace who was from Atlanta. He went by the name Frame. He was actually the manager for an R&B group called Hamilton Park. And actually ended up going on Scream tour with them. Same, obviously, the tour that, launched B2K and all of these things. But anyway, so Frame essentially became my manager. And, he decided, maybe we should step into the R&B field. That was his, dominant field. And so it was a struggle for me to, try to, step away from gospel into that realm. But nonetheless, it was a decision that I made, and it was something that I wanted to explore. And so I took it. And then that kind of opened up my life in ways that unspeakable. Started meeting, prominent people, celebrities, and all these different musicians, songwriters, singers, and just people immersed, in that genre, immersed in that world. So it just kind of opened my eyes up, really. And so now, I'm a solo artist, but now in vastly different arenas. Now I'm singing at, clubs and things like that, the nightlife situation or whatever. And so I did that as a solo artist under him for maybe about 3 to 4 years as a solo artist. And now actually in my own hometown. So now I'm making waves in Atlanta and I'm making waves in Detroit. And both are actually co-connected with one another, and they both are kind of fueling each other because the music industry is so small. It's really crazy. You could be all over the US, in terms of different musicians, different singers. Everybody knows each other. Like it's really, really, really small. And so through my connections with Frame in Atlanta, I was able to now start actually meeting some of the greatest and the largest R&B and hip hop artists in Detroit. And so I found myself in rooms and studios, writing sessions with some of the best in the industry and from my own hometown. And that was something huge for me. And then so probably like that 4th year, Jay Drew called me. Jay Drew is the son of Karen Clark Sheard of the legendary gospel group, the Clark Sisters, who's also the brother of Kiki Sheard. He had just signed to Pharrell Williams under Star Trek Entertainment as an in-house producer, actually his first in-house producer. And Jay Drew called myself and a friend of mine who I used to sing in the gospel group with, John Houston. He actually called me and it's like, hey, I talked to Pharrell and he's wanting to start a group, blah, blah, blah. Hey, do you guys want to, do y'all want to do this? And I'm like, well, yeah, this can only complement my full emotion that I've already been gaining as a solo R&B artist. This can only, put a little icing on that cake, having the endorsement, from Skateboard P or Pharrell. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. And so we started, we became a group. We went by the name 3D. And so I guess to answer your question, I feel like I'm going on and on. That's how I actually started in that musical journey.
Definitely. So at what point on this musical journey did you come to find out that you had a schizophrenic situation going on? How did you, at what point did that come about? Yeah,
so shortly after we began our recording process with the group 3D, myself, Jay Drew, and John Houston, I got introduced to marijuana. I was at a party with some older friends of mine, and they were smoking, and I wanted to try it. I had drinks at this time before, so I knew what type of stimulant that was, and then so. It just really kind of brought in that curiosity of, okay, what type of stimulation are you guys getting from this? Why is everybody smoking weed? And so I tried it, and I literally from that day smoked weed for like 7.5 months straight, every single day. It was something really, really, really kind of strange how it happened, but it was all day, every day. It wasn't just like, a puff here. Like it was all day, every day. I would get, marijuana in one day. If I got, finished it all in one day, I would get more the same day. And this happened for 7 months straight. And I remember towards maybe like the 7th month, I remember feeling a bit different. I started to think a bit different. My perceptions were a little bit different, and my senses became a bit hypersensitive. Like things that most people would be able to just kind of brush off their shoulders with ease. You know, this actually became such like a heavy weight on my like emotions. So I would say that I was, you know, my emotional state was unstable, really unstable. And I remember just feeling a lot of differences. I was just really feeling different around that 7th month. It was almost like I opened up myself to a new atmosphere or a new realm. It just really is what it is. And I'm a spiritual person, you know, from birth. So I know the difference. It's hard to explain, but anyhow, so that happened. And then there was just one incident, there was one night I was with a lady friend of mine. She had her cousin was working this night, and she was going to pick her cousin up from work. And so I went with her. When we got to the place, I think it was like a Target store. When we got to the place, she wasn't off work just yet. And so we decided to walk around the store. And my friend, you know, she looked up and saw a microwave that she wanted to check out. And it was like up on the 3rd shelf or whatever. And she asked me to bring it down. And so, and mind you, I actually smoked weed on this night before going to pick her cousin up. So I get the microwave down from the 3rd shelf, and I reach to put it into the basket. And really suddenly I felt like something jumped onto and then into my body. Like it was something very peculiar. Everything became super slowed down. I was almost like in slow motion. My body became like light, like a feather. You know how you take helium out of a balloon and you get that lightheaded feeling. I actually felt that lightheadedness all over my body. And it was like I said, everything was just like really slow motion. I literally felt something jump onto me and then into me. It was really strange. I don't know if I actually exhibited any signs that anything was wrong or anything was happening to my friend, but something definitely was going on. And so we end up leaving the store finally, and we get into the car. And I remember there was a feeling that I felt like someone was gripping on my heart and squeezing it back and forth, and I was having trouble breathing. And I leaned over to my friend and said, "Hey, it feels like somebody's holding on to my heart and squeezing my heart. I can't really breathe." And I remember she gave like some like this like smirk. And so at this moment, my brain started doing, you know, all kinds of things, thinking all types of scenarios. And so I started thinking like, okay, is this woman plotting on me? Like, did she set this up? Did she cause this? Like, she actually provided the weed for me that night before picking her cousin up. And so now my brain is kind of, you know, going into all these processes and just wondering like, okay, what's really going on? What's happening? Why can't I breathe? Why is she smiling after telling her that I can't breathe? And so it was just really weird night. And I remember us going to a gas station. And you know how when you step out into the open atmosphere, like at a gas station or anywhere in public, what do you see? You see people, you see movement, you see motions, you see commotion. And so in this environment of just, you know, people living their everyday life, you know, aside from me, I don't know these people. My brain, like now, is actually really, you know, a little fuzzy, a little hazy, a little spacey. You know what I mean? Like I would hear people, whether they on the phone talking to somebody, whether they talking to the person they're with, I was hearing people talk and hearing their words come out of their mouths. And I was actually registering it. My brain, I wasn't doing it on purpose. It was just happening. My brain was registering their words as communications toward me. And it's really weird. Like they could say anything. They could say, "Oh man, it's cold out here." And my brain would say, okay, this person is talking to me. Not only is this person talking to me and communicating with me, there's a hidden message or a hidden code inside of hey, it's cold out here. And so I would actually hear the message, receive it as a communication toward me. They're not talking to me at all. Mm-hmm. And then I would actually take that communication towards me and flip it to make it whatever my brain could think of, or what he meant by, oh, it's cold out here. It sounds weird, but it is what it is. Yeah. That was such a scary moment. Like, I got clammy, I got really afraid. It was, paranoia on times 1,000. I'm like, why are these people talking to me? Why are they saying these things? And it's so funny because my brain was flipping everything, on the negative side. So, like I said, not only am I taking the communication to me when they're not talking to me at all, now I'm taking what they're saying, but I'm making it negative towards me. I'm flipping it in my brain. That makes me feel like someone's trying to cause harm on me, or someone's against me or attacking me. And so we left that situation. We left the gas station. We ended up getting back to my friend's house. And so it was weird. My brother, me and my brother, this particular brother, I'm actually number 9 of 10 of total. And I'm the third boy of 4, or the fourth boy rather of 4. I'm actually the baby boy. And so this particular brother and I, we don't talk much at all. We never really had a relationship growing up. I was always into sports and things like that. We just never were on the same wavelength. Mm-hmm. And he called me this particular night, that same night, out of nowhere. It's kind of strange. I didn't really understand it. But anyway, he called and he's like, hey, Nate, are you doing okay? And but he asked, with real concern in his voice and his tone. It wasn't like a conversation started like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. I'm just checking up on you. It was like, hey, man, you doing good? And at that point, I was like, I don't know. He's like, do you want me to come get you? I'm like, yeah. Like, that was the whole conversation, wow. Literally. And so I sent him over the address, and he came and got me. So he picked me up with my oldest sister, and we got into the car. We started driving, and my sister, she's driving, and she's like, hey, so where do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, you want to go to mom's house? And I'm like, nah. She's like, you want to go to dad's house? I'm like, nah. I didn't tell them why, but I actually, during this time, my mind is really haywire and coming up with its own scenarios. In my mind, I believe that I started to remember, different times in my life where I may had a dispute with mom or dad, and I actually associated that prior incident, and I brought it into that now reality. And I was really afraid that paranoia crept up on me again. I was afraid to go to mom's house. I was afraid to go to dad's house, just because of what my brain was telling me about what happened before. And it wasn't even nothing that major. It was just that my brain in that state was just really just coming up with its own negative reinforces. And so my sister, so she, at this point, she's like, well, so where do you want to go? And I just began crying, just bawling out of control. And they're like, what's wrong? And the only answer I could give was, I just love God. Like that, at that moment, my answer of I just love God, that was really me saying, like, y'all will never understand what I'm going through right now. Like, y'all don't even have a clue. And I don't even think you guys really want to try to understand, just based off of, the scope of our relationship, myself and my sister, that particular sister, and myself and that particular brother. It's kind of strange how I ended up in the car with them two. We have like the least of a relationship on both ends, both my sister and brother, but it is what it is. It just happened that way. And so my sister's a nurse. And so what I'm saying is,
God sent them to your rescue, but
yeah. Hey, that was my whole process. When my brother first called that night and he said, hey, what's wrong? Like I said, it wasn't a conversation starter. My brain immediately told me, okay, God is causing an intervention for me to rescue me out of this situation, because he's the only one that knows what I'm going through right now. Yeah. And so I literally thought that in that moment that, God is definitely causing this to happen. And so I was quick to give him my address and say, yeah, come and get me. Mm-hmm. And it's weird too. Like I said, I'm not really close with he or my sister. Right. But I took that vehicle where I felt that God was, bringing to me to rescue me. And so I didn't care who it came through. even if it was them, those are, probably two of my least, in my family that I'm connected with or close to. And so anyway, my sister's a nurse, and I think what I'm thinking, I never had the conversation with her, but what I'm thinking is she may have saw signs, and so she ended up taking me to the hospital that night. I'm still crying, and I remember when we stopped the car, she said, "Hey, Nate, don't run." And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, why would I run? What are you talking about? I didn't realize that we were even at the hospital because I'm just sitting there and bawling. And I look up and we're at the hospital. It's so funny when she said, "Hey, Nate, don't run," I got excited because that same feeling where I felt on the phone that, okay, God is orchestrating this, I actually felt that even more so when she said, "Hey, Nate, don't run." I actually felt like, okay, God, I want to see what's on the other side of don't run. I want to know what's there. So I look up and we're at the hospital, and we go in, and they admit me into the ER. We stayed in a waiting room for a little bit, and then that night I was actually admitted into their psychiatric ward. I stayed for 10 days.
Wow. So,
and that's when I got the diagnosis of schizophrenia and depression.
Okay, so do you feel like this was brought on by trauma? Because this wasn't something you've always dealt with, right? It was something, you had a bad batch. It was laced with something. I don't know. Like, how do you feel you got to that point?
Yeah, after coming out of the hospital, I actually did some study on marijuana, and I read that a lot of people who provide marijuana, they put their, weed in like embalming fluid and stuff like that. I'm like, stuff that they put in dead people, and it's only for the sake of making the weed more enhanced, so that same person who bought from you can continue to come back and buy. And it's not only embalming fluid, it's so many other things, so many other drugs and stuff that they put inside the weed just to keep somebody coming back. And I remember reading that, and I started to recall some moments, a lot of moments actually, where I would get weed and the person would say, "Hey, this is that gas, this is that gas." And so after reading that, I started thinking like, okay, have I been smoking chemically induced weed all this time? Because I remember people say, okay, this is loud. I knew that meant that this is potent or kush. I knew that. But that term gas, I never quite understood that. And so I remember most of the time when I smoked the gas, I remember feeling something in my throat and in my nostril area. I remember feeling a big difference from when I would smoke, natural weed or regular weed or whatever. But nonetheless, it was just a habit that I was into, and this was a thing that I did. And so I didn't really take anything into thought or consideration. I just smoked it no matter what, even, every time I heard it, even when feeling the difference in my throat, feeling the difference in my nostrils, I still was smoking anyway. And so now after studying that, I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. I think I have been smoking chemically induced weed for quite some time. Not even just on a one situation. This has been over and over. And so, so I definitely think that the whole, me stepping into that world of smoking weed opened the door for me to actually be, susceptible to smoking, bad weed.
Wow. So tell us, I'm sure they know by now, but how did your friends and family react when you told them?
When I told them what?
About your diagnosis.
Well, actually, I think myself, and I don't even know, because, I was an adult at this time, and I was in the hospital when I received the diagnosis. I never actually even told anybody, what was said in the hospital after coming out.
So even with the book and everything, they still have not a slightest clue?
Well, yeah, now they're like different interviews and different podcasts coming out and stuff like that. So a lot of my family know, and a lot of them say like, wow, I had no idea any of this was happening. And, even some of the stories of my life in the industry, they knew that I was doing great things, but they didn't know any of the intricacies of what I was doing. And so a lot of them are just like, wow, man, I had no idea any of this was happening.
And that's usually how it goes. Family doesn't really know the fullness of, what you have going on sometimes. I think we can all be caught up in our own little world. So when you finally do come to understand certain things, it's like, wait, what happened? Kind of like that shock value. But tell us a little bit about your book. Tell us what's inside. What made you write the book?
Yeah, so after coming out, it took me like 6 years to really get my brain back into optimal functioning, back into a place where I can think clearly. And so after I reached that place of knowing, okay, like this is over. You don't have an association with a quote unquote mental illness, with quote unquote schizophrenia or depression. You're through this. God has literally, graced you enough to be able to come out on the other side of this. And I knew I had to write about it. I knew I had to help others. There's so many different people dealing with quote unquote mental illness, and they feel like they're trapped. They feel like they're locked into that. Yeah, all over. It's really, really across the board, across every single ethnic group. And so you have people who are actually diagnosed who's going through this, and they're actually attaching themselves to it. And then you have people who are going through stuff, suffering in the shadows, not even letting people know, hey, something is wrong. I'm thinking differently. And so, because, the stigma, that you hear about, it's definitely real. I remember coming out of the hospital. I didn't even tell my group that I was just. Wow. So let me tell you this story real quick, and then I'll tell you about what's actually in the book. Okay. So coming out of the hospital, I had to figure out what happened. That was my purpose of trying to study marijuana. I started to read my Bible pretty much on the everyday, all day basis. I was in constant prayer and fasting, trying to understand, like, Nate, what happened? How did you get here? Like, what in the, and this came, that came at such a pivotal point in my life. This was in the midst of signing a lucrative contract with Oscar and Grammy Award winner Pharrell Williams. What happened, and why is this here right now? You got to figure it out, because your life is on the line right now. So during prayer and study, I actually felt God tell me to walk away from the group. I actually felt him tell me to walk away from music. And I remember when I heard or felt that, I remember like it gave like a sharp pain to my stomach. So I'm like, oh man, like this is what I've been working for all these years. This is my dream. And I'm like right here at the cusp. I'm only waiting right now. Like we already have verbal, contracts with Pharrell. Like I'm just waiting to sign papers at this point. Like this is my dream. Wow. And so nonetheless, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just listen to what God is saying. This is what I told myself internally. I'm going to call the guys. I'm going to let them know, hey, I can't be in a group. I have to step away. Wow. I had no intentions of telling them on that particular day. It's just something that I said to myself internally. This is what I'm going to do. I kid you not. Like an hour later, Jay, Drew, and John calls me. They are raving. They're going crazy. Nate, oh my God, it's going down. It's happening. And I'm on the phone like, well, what's going on? What do you mean? Like, dude, it's finally about to happen. We're about to take off. Pharrell is sending us out to Miami. We're about to meet with he and Andre Harrell to get things done with the signing and everything, and step into what's our next steps to get this album out, our debut album. And I'm like, whoa! I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is crazy. Like, so they're super excited, and now I'm excited. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going crazy. And now in my brain, I'm kind of going back and forth like, okay, wait, I just told God that I would listen. But this is here. It's at the door. Like, I don't know what to do. I need to take this because this is, and so I'm battling. And then so as things kind of died down, the conversation or whatever, and you're talking about Andre Harrell, who actually upstarted P. Diddy's career and so many others. And then Pharrell, like, oh man, and it was crazy because this was like on a Monday when they called. The flight was leaving that Thursday. This was only a few days. Like they're like the flight is leaving Thursday. Wow. And I'm like, whoa. So as all the excitement died down, I started to let perspective come in. And I said, I gotta listen. I cannot just blatantly disobey what God is saying. I think the average person would be like, okay, this is a sign you need to go because it's caught, this happened an hour after. I took it in reverse. I'm like, this is the true sign that I know that God just told me to walk away, because anytime he gives you a directive, the enemy's job is to place something in front of you to do otherwise. And so, and I took it just like that. I'm like, whoa. So I had to tell them. But I still never told them that I was even in the hospital. I just said, hey, you guys, I'm going through something right now, and I believe that God is actually calling me elsewhere. I just don't think that this is path for me. Blah, blah, blah. And these are my friends from middle school. Jay Drew went to middle school with me as well. And John went to high school with me. And so, you know, I felt comfortable enough to say, hey, I have to walk away. And, you know, I can tell the dismay in their voices, even, you know, just that whole conversation just got kind of eerie. But nonetheless, they're like, okay, well, you know, we're praying for you, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't even, that stigma, you know, I was telling you about, I was embarrassed. There's no way in the world I'm about to tell my friends, hey, I was just in a mental hospital a couple days ago. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? They would probably think I'm crazy. Like, there's no way I was about to say that. But that speaks to that stigma again. Mm-hmm. And so now we actually get to, like you said, what's in the actual book. In the book, we definitely breaking down that stigma, you know, letting people know it's okay to not be okay. You know what I mean? The goal is just to get better and to get yourself to a place where you are okay. You hiding the fact that something is wrong or something is off, it's only perpetuating, you know, a situation that could actually be dealt with and handled if you actually face it in the face. Obviously, that's easier said than done. Nobody likes to confront, you know, their dark. Nobody wants to put a flashlight on anything that's wrong with themselves. That's the scariest moment in the world. But hey, breakthroughs and overcoming, you know, it only happens when you place that flashlight on yourself. You know what I mean? It's not even for somebody else to do it for you. Do it for yourself and figure out, hey, how can I actually get this in order? What do I need to do? What steps do I need to take? And so that's why it took me like 6 years. I took away my phone. I had social networks, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all that different ones. Then I got rid of every single thing. I literally walked away from my phone. Like, I'm talking about not even hadn't had a phone in service for 5 years, because I knew that whatever happened and whatever triggered me going into that mental institution, it all lies in this big haystack. And that's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. I didn't know what it was. So I said, let me get rid of everything: music, friends, family. I was even away from my family. Like, I was like off in a corner somewhere, just really trying to dissect what happened. And nobody can teach you. Nobody can help you through something they've never been through. This has included doctors. You know, a doctor can say, hey, this medication is going to help you, or this is going to do this. What doctor do you know has ever been on any, or what mental health doctor has ever been on any other drugs that they prescribe? Probably none. They can only tell you what they think. They don't know nothing because they haven't been through it. And so I took myself by myself and tried to figure out what happened and how to get my mind back into optimal thinking once more. And so that's what I did. And so the book, you know, covers ways to actually do that. I give actionable steps to bring in clarity of thinking and bring in the life that we desire. You know, if your current reality isn't the reality that you actually want for yourself, I give actionable steps to bring into fruition that life that we wish to see. You know, so it actually goes well beyond the mental health. The book really, you know, dives into self-esteem, something that I dealt with, low self-esteem, being so talented and so young, and being number 9 of 10 total. My older siblings and my family around me, they would actually scrutinize me, criticize me, especially because my mom named me after who she named me after, which is my great uncle, Bishop Samuel Nathan Hancock. She always, you know, told me, hey, you're great. This is why God told me to name you this when you were in my stomach, because, you know, he's going to pass the torch to you, blah, blah, blah. She always affirmed me and empowered me. And my siblings around me hated that fact because they never got that, even, you know, from the oldest to the least. Nobody ever got that true affirmation like I did. But it was for a purpose. Huh?
That reminds me of Joseph in the Bible, the dreamer.
Yeah, really. I've been saying that since I was younger. I feel like Joseph. I remember saying that as a young boy. Like, for real. It just is what it is. And so, and knowing that I dealt with low self-esteem, and then knowing when my brain got into that spacey place, it would actually start to connect a lot of my past situations, a lot of my environments that I grew up in, and it actually kind of exacerbated that current reality. Yeah. And so I talk about that low self-esteem because that's we don't understand when we're children, we don't have the option of believing, you know, what we want to believe. We believe whoever has influence around us. We hear what they say, we see what they do, how they react to certain situations, and we encode that within ourselves, and we live it out. It's natural. It's what our brains are made to do. We see something and we do it. We hear something and we do it. So if all my family is telling me, oh, you can't sing, or you're not what mom said, or you're this, you're ugly, blah, blah, blah. Okay, y'all living with me. Y'all must be telling the truth. Right. This is what a kid is going to think. And so I go into that to a broken psychiatric system in the book. I've researched so many psychiatrists, tons of them, and they all are against psychoactive drugs. They actually claim that, the medications that they're putting these patients on are causing more damage than the actual quote unquote diagnosis itself. And what makes it worse is, first of all, the drug itself is causing a chemical imbalance. And then it's harder to get off the drugs than when you even got on. And so now people go into suicidal thinking because now we're taking you off the drug. You become dependent on this drug. And so I just really put into the book what actual psychiatrists, and clinical psychologists are saying about, what these medications are doing to people. And so the book is very impactful, informational, powerful, transformational, inspirational. And so I wrote it for people who are not only dealing with mental health, but just like I said, who don't have that reality that they want for themselves. And I just give actionable steps to bring into that reality.
Wow, that's super powerful. And just briefly going back to your obedience to God, that is... Man, I just want to give you a huge pat on the back, because in that particular situation, a lot of people would have been like, nah, just like you said, like, no, this is a sign. I need to go ahead and pursue this thing. But if you would have been disobedient, we never know where you would have ended up. It probably would have made it worse. You never really would have confronted the situation. You would have never taken that long sabbatical from people and things and just tried to get your mind right. So your obedience to God, I think, was probably one of the most important things you could have ever done, which it's important for all of us. Obedience is better than sacrifice. But in that particular moment, you did something that a lot of people never would have done. They would have been like, nah, this is my dream. I'm right here. Like you said, it's right at the door. It's knocking heavy, ready for me to just open it up and I can have everything that I've been dreaming of. But I think because of your obedience, God is going to bless you. And I believe he has been in ways that you never even imagined, and above and beyond anything you could have obtained by taking that opportunity. You went through the door that God wanted you to go through. And not only is it going to be a blessing to you, but I believe it's going to bless so many other people, even through your book and through your testimony. This is incredible. And just based on what you told me and reading your bio and stuff, I had an idea, but just hearing you talk about it in depth is just incredible. And I'm grateful that God allowed you to experience this. And that's from the outside looking in, but you're a blessing to so many people. There's a lot of people who don't have someone to identify with or someone who can help them understand. I have a friend actually who, I don't know exactly I think she said bipolar, and depression is what they diagnosed her with. And there was a guy she was involved with, and she had a bad day or whatever, and they were in a conversation, and he felt like she spazzed out on him a little bit and was like, oh, you must not be taking your meds. And if you are, they're not working. And just said all these terrible things to her. And it hurt her feelings and it broke her heart. But it's like, people don't understand. Like you said, you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to be vocal about it because of the stereotype that's on it, of the stigma, or of how people are going to respond. So I think the fact that you were able to sit down and allow God to speak through you to be a blessing to other people, I think that's incredible. And I love that. God is so, and just to use you as an instrument is just amazing.
Yeah, I'm humbled and I'm honored to be that vessel, to be that, vehicle or gateway or get entry for somebody to step into breakthrough, to step into something better than what they've seen.
Yeah. No, I love that. Now tell us, before we go real quick, about your fundraiser. I know you have a fundraiser going on for the publishing of your book and all that good stuff. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I created a fundraiser around the book. The actual name of the book is Remind Me to Think, the Genius Behind Crazy. Remind me to think, the genius behind crazy. Wow. And so I put a fundraiser around the book, and I named the fundraiser Project Genius of a Schizophrenic. And so what I'm doing is the book is already copywritten and it's in its manuscript form. And so I put a fundraiser for the publishing and launching of the book. So when it actually comes out, it can reach as many people as possible. It can get into the hands that is needed for people to actually step into transformation. And so anyone who donates, whether it be a penny, whether it be $1, I'm actually sending them a copy of the original manuscript, copywritten version of the book, so they can be amongst the first to actually read it. And I leave space, through email for people to contact me, let me know, hey, I like this part about the book. Hey, I didn't like this. Have you considered this? Or, have you thought about this as a title? Just to open that dialogue. This is all pre-publication. So based on feedback, things could actually change based on you guys' feedback. And so I opened up for that. And so that's what the fundraiser is for, just for the marketing and publishing of it.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely going to invest, and I'll be looking for my manuscript so I can read. No, because
you'll get it that same day for sure.
Yes. No, this sounds interesting. Like, I definitely want to read more about it. And you talk a little bit about how you go into the scientific and the medical aspect of things, which kind of a little bit more interesting too, because
it's so deep.
Those are important things to know. I was talking to this prophet, and he was telling me God led him to read different medical books and things like that, so that as he's prophesying, he knows the medical terms to use with people. And he said at first he was just like, oh man, Lord, that sounds weird. Like, is it just me or God, And as he started to do his research and read, he said there was a particular person he was prophesying to, and she just cried. And she said everything that he had said, the doctor had said to her.
Wow.
And he asked him, like, did you go to medical school? Like, how did you know all this? And he's like, no, God led me to get a deeper understanding and do my research and read these medical books so I can have an understanding. And that's so important to do. So even what I do, and I'm engaging with a lot of different people, like, I would love that insight. So I'm gonna, patronize so I can get and donate and invest so I can get my manuscript so I can read it. And,
I really appreciate it. I really, really do. Thank you so much. Every little bit, like I said, even a penny is a needle mover to the actual goal. So.
No, I definitely got you. But I thank you so much for chatting with me today. This was a awesome conversation. And I love the Lord for what he's done in your life and even what he's going to do in and through you. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Bless you. I appreciate the opportunity. This is such a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Now tell us, how can we follow you on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook? How can we connect with you?
I'm on Instagram at Jermaine_Tolbert, and I'm on Facebook as Jermaine Tolbert. Those are really my main two. I'm on Twitter as well, but I'm really on Instagram and Facebook. And as well, for the actual fundraiser, you can actually go to www.ucaring.com/Genius of a Schizophrenic Project. That's where you could actually donate and get the copy of the manuscript.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jermaine. This was awesome. Thank you to those listening. I hope that this was a blessing to you and that you got something out of this. Be sure to go and be a part of the fundraiser. And thank you for tuning in. I love you and God loves you so much more. I will check you in the next podcast. God bless.